Hello everyone, welcome to OnlyIAS. Hope you are all doing great today. As promised to you all, today we will be looking into the public administration question paper for the year 2024. And as you can see from here, we will be doing the paper 1 discussion today. Alright, so without any further delay, let me take you right into our topic. So as you can clearly see, introduction, administrative thought, administrative behavior, organizations, accountability and control, administrative law, comparative public administration, development dynamics, personal administration, public policy, techniques of administrative improvement, financial administration. These are the 12 chapters that are there in paper 1. And for these 12 chapters, if you look at the pattern that have come this time, we can see a marked difference from in introduction chapter compared to the earlier years. Like earlier years, if you see 23, 22, only 1 or 2 questions were asked, but in 21 there was 4. That trend has re-repeated back in 2024. Second chapter again, if you see, consistently we can see it's an important chapter with at least 3 to 4 questions coming from that chapter, which is basically your chapter on thinkers. Administrative behavior, 3 questions have come continuously in the last 3 years, and these 3 questions, if you see, these are generally based on theories of motivation, leadership, etc. And actually, if you look into those questions also, very rarely topics have been repeated. More often than not, every time it is a new motivation theory or a new leadership theory or some new analysis that they are asking. In other words, what I want to say is, we cannot actually bet completely on this chapter. Because this chapter, the problem is, you don't know what will be the question. So the problem here is that you may, if you decide to start preparing on this, you may have to prepare everything, not knowing which question will get repeated. Whereas in the other 2 chapters, the advantage is we know from where what is going to come. Clear? Organizations just 1, accountability and control 3, administrative law 1, comparative public administration 3, development dynamics 2, personal administration 3, public policy 1, techniques of administrative improvement 1, financial administration 2. Overall, if you look at the question paper, what is the verdict? The verdict, like I told you in my earlier video, this is one of the most easiest, very straightforward, direct question paper ever to come in public administration in a long time. And as far as my students are concerned, the ones who have enrolled, they all will be knowing that whatever we discussed in class, whatever we specifically told, these are the important topics, and whatever questions you have written or we have practiced, exactly those topics have come this time. So not necessary that every time this may happen, but the fact of the matter is the core areas where repeatedly questions come from that we have done really well in the class. So that is the importance here. As a public administration faculty or any faculty for an optional for that matter, they should be able to guide you to the core of the subject, like how the subject evolved, who are the major contributors, where does it stand today. At least this much any faculty should be able to tell you, so that you have a grasp over the subject, and then when the question paper comes or in the exam, you're able to deliver it. Your understanding, you're able to deliver. That is what matters. Why the understanding matters, you will get to know once we start discussing the questions. Now, I know some of you might still be having a lot of queries or concerns with regard to public administration. Some of you who are going to give your attempt next year may be even confused, or the years after that may be confused which optional to choose. Any queries that you have with regard to public administration, GS subjects or your essay, whatever be it, this is my channel where you can reach out and share your concern. All right. There are other students also there, so they will also help you out and you will get a fair idea how to go about your preparation. Now, if you are a PubAd student, but you have not enrolled for our course, you need some support with regard to answer writing. Even then, please ensure that, please see to it that you join this channel. All right, people. So let us see the very first question. Politics administration dichotomy debate is still alive. Comment 10 marks. One of the most easiest question, because you can start with by giving a brief introduction about Woodrow Wilson, like how he mentioned about politics administration dichotomy and how he wanted to keep politics completely separate from administration. Now, why is it important? Already in the class, we have discussed two examples, one of Mr. Pandian IAS, the other of West Bengal ex-chief secretary. Two examples we had already discussed in the class where we mentioned why it is important that administrators should stay away from politics. All right. Then comes the next part. Why you need politics and administration together? You need it because to create accountability. You need it because administrators are the people who are in touch with the public. So they will have a better idea when it comes to policy formulation. So we need them there. Especially during the time period of COVID-19, we saw how administration actually helped in arresting the pandemic. You end your answer. Getting the point here. So 10-mark question, keep a very brief intro, very brief conclusion, but give proper examples supporting the statement and opposing the statement because they've asked you to comment on it. So you will support it and speak as well as you will oppose it also and speak. Clear, people? Finally, you will conclude telling that keeping politics out of administration or administration out of politics is a matter of situation. It depends from situation to situation, from country to country, ecology to ecology. Getting the point here? You are going to give a holistic perspective there. Many students, the mistake that they make is the moment they see politics administration dichotomy, they will start preparing an entire essay on Woodrow Wilson. That is not the question. Even though Woodrow Wilson was the one who talked about politics administration dichotomy, that is not the purpose. The purpose is what? Whatever is in the double inverted comma, the quote, politics administration dichotomy debate is still alive. The debate is still alive. Why it is still alive? That is what the focus should be. Clear, people? Moving on to the next question. Formal organizations are made up of informal groups discussed. So once again, this is something that we have already discussed. In any formal organization, generally you will have small informal groups. You will have informal communications. You will have informal gatherings. And it is through these informal groups, sometimes certain informations are passed. So that you will mention how in a formal organization, you have informal groups. You will talk about its importance, and highlighting this, you will talk about the example what we have already discussed in class with regard to ISRO. I already told you most of the important decisions or most of the important suggestions are usually given in ISRO over lunch breaks and tea breaks, where sometimes even the junior most engineer may come up with a suggestion or an idea which is accepted by the seniors. So informal groupings have the strength to improve the organizational efficiency and economy if carried out in the right way. Then the other issue, formal organizations are made up of informal groups. Now, yes, it is made up of informal groups, but you cannot entertain it everywhere. Why? Especially in organizations like the army, or you talk about bureaucracy, you cannot have very strong informal groups or you cannot entertain informal groups. Why? Because be it army or the bureaucracy, they are based on what? Impersonal order. They are based on impersonal order, where order matters, authority matters, hierarchy matters. So even if you have small informal groups, they are not of any consequence there, because what only matters in such organizations is, do you have the order? Yes, you can do it. No, leave it. So that is the point there. So again, you can mention a few thinkers here. You can mention about Elton Mayo here. Getting the point. You can mention about participative management also here. So like with the likes of Likert, Argyris, any thinker you can mention over here. Getting the picture, people? I have always been telling in my classes, paper one, when you write, you have to give examples more with few thinkers and theory. You have to elaborate the example to justify your position. Getting the picture here, people? Taking it further forward. Grapevine is a necessary evil, examine. Now this is where a little bit of English knowledge matters, vocabulary matters. Because like I told you, UPSC is really facing a tough task. Every street in our country has one or the other IAS academy. I know it is a little bit of an exaggeration, but that is the reality. So what can UPSC do? Make the question paper even more tougher. Use vocabulary, English vocabulary, which is not normally used in day-to-day life. So when we say grapevine, it simply means rumor. It's a rumor. That means it's unconfirmed. Not sure whether it is true or false. Grapevine is a necessary evil, examine. So it is a necessary evil means it is something that is bad because it is unconfirmed. It is highly informal in nature, not official, can spread fear. That is the biggest problem with it. Any organization, it can create what? Total trouble. But that is on one side. On the other side, what do you have? Superior becomes aware of ground reality. Superior gets to know about what are the dissatisfiers. What are the satisfiers? Superior gets to know about who is a squealer, chiseler, etc. Getting the point here? Superior will get to know. So in such a scenario, the advantage is that you are getting to know more about your workers, more about the work environment when you have rumors going around. You get to know what the people are truly thinking about an organization. Getting the point here? And at the top, what it is unconfirmed, informal, not officials, can spread fear. Again, this is not at all good when it comes to what? When it comes to bureaucracy, army, such organizations, grapevine cannot be entertained because it can seriously lead to insubordination and disrespect. When it comes to superior becomes aware of the ground reality, superior can take care of the motivational factors or those factors which are affecting the work culture in an organization. That is the advantage. Getting the point here, people. So this way what happens is people will get to know about things more. So generally, where do you find this is most useful is, again, in the corporate world, you will find it most useful. Where people will talk among themselves, workers talk about themselves about the work culture in a company. All right. So that is why it is still a necessary evil, and ultimately it becomes useful for certain set of population, especially the corporate world or the private sector. In the government circles, the impact of grapevine is actually very limited. The only reason being that transfers, promotions, all these are not under, like, this keeps happening every year. So with transfers, promotions, etc. happening, what happens is people come, people go. So grapevine doesn't have much impact there. But in a private organization, when you are there for a considerable period of time, obviously you know everyone. You can end up spreading lies about people or lies about the work culture or truth about the people or truth about the work culture. Getting the point here? So that is the idea. All right, people. Healthy headquarters and field agencies relationship thrives on effective communication. Comment. So healthy headquarters, you have headquarters here, which takes all the major decisions. And then you have the executive body, which is the field agency. And for this, what do you need? You need effective communication. Correct? Now you can give, it is a comment question. So you can give here the example of the Uttarakhand tunnel collapse, which was also discussed in the class. where I told you how Prime Minister's office was responsible for coordinating between 3 different PSUs, and these were communicating with each other also. As a result of which coordination was supreme. There was no ego issues between any of the PSUs involved there. There was no issues coming from the top also. Effective communication and the rescue operation went smoothly. Getting the point here? So effective communication is really, really necessary. Again, so this is Prime Minister's office when we talk about. Healthy headquarters and field agencies relationship can also happen. It is not necessary that, thrives on effective communication. It is true again. Let us take another 2 examples. Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Home Affairs. Under Ministry of Finance, you have ED. Under Ministry of Home Affairs, you have NIA. There is effective communication coming from the top also, and there is effective communication between the field agencies also. Getting the point here? So I know comment question generally when people will always say that, okay, comment means you should give the negative. That is what even I have told you in the class. But again, it is contingent upon the nature of the statement. So if you look at it, healthy headquarters and field agencies relationship thrives. Thrives means depends on effective communication. It did not say that effective communication is the only thing that decides on effective relationship. Healthy headquarter field relationship. It only mentioned that it depends on it. It is very, very true. That communication should be there. Otherwise, things can go wrong. Getting the point here? So even if a proper weather alert is not given, a proper rain alert is not given, it can create catastrophic disaster. Getting the point here? So I'm referring to the Wayanad disaster here. So Wayanad disaster, basically, alert was given from the headquarters telling that it will rain continuously. It may trigger a landslide. Field agency did not take it seriously, did not do the effective measures. Getting the point here? So it also depends upon, even if a message is communicated, what matters is for healthy relationship, once a message is communicated, action also needs to be taken. It should be ensured whether action is happening or not. That is the tail end of the answer that you will write. That taking action matters there. Simply communicating doesn't end things. The follow-up part is required. Only then you can say headquarters and field agencies are having a healthy relationship, because communication was given, field agency took the action. Then it is healthy. Simply communication without action is of no use. You will end it. Like I told you, give the example of Uttarakhand tunnel. Second example this. Third example, the Wayanad disaster. All the 3 you put there. And you talk about how communication is important. And how right from the classical thinkers do not focus much on communication aspect. But below, if you see, as you evolve and see, you can see, be it the human relation thinkers, behavioral thinkers, motivational thinkers, they have all emphasized on the importance of communication. All right, taking it further forward. Media has become more of a societal lens than an institutional lens. Analyze. So media, this is from the chapter of accountability. Now I know most of you might be thinking, like especially my students, sir, you didn't give any notes on this. The reason being that this is a very, very dynamic topic. So when you're talking about accountability, definitely yes, you will have to mention a few thinkers which talked about accountability. Correct? Like for example, be it social audit or to ensure transparency, accountability, etc. You have to mention how we can ensure that accountability is there. So media, either you can use thinkers or theory. So do one thing, we will use thinkers here, theory here. Theory we will use, like for example, let us say system theory. Media can play the role of providing feedback. Correct? Media can play the role of providing feedback to the political system where changes in the input or output can be made. All right. Media is supposed to be the 4th pillar of democracy. But today, more than as an institution, what it should be doing objectively, it is doing what the society wants or what the society wants to hear. Getting the point here? Media, rather than acting objectively, media is supposed to be acting what? Ideally, media is supposed to be acting objectively. But what is happening actually? Media is acting subjectively. Why subjectively? Because what the society wants to hear, what the society wants to know, only that the media is trying to deliver. Media is failing to do a purely rational, objective job. As a result of which, there is a lot of emotions when media does a job. Media focuses more on the emotions rather than the objectivity. So media has ended up becoming representative of the social man rather than the sorry rather than the rational man. Can you see how I am trying to squeeze theories here? Rational man, social man, systems theory. That is the beauty. Because if you look at that statement here, writing an answer for this is not a big deal. The big deal is not to write it as a GS answer. Because sometimes we get carried away. Now, to give examples, it is easy because media focuses on sensationalism. Media covers things with a lot of sensationalism and jingoism. Media has ultimately ended up becoming, what is it, very partisan towards a particular political ideology or religious ideology or caste based ideology, because it is trying to capture the attention of their particular viewership. That is, they are going by what? Consumerism. They only want to serve a few section of the population who will listen to their news. Ideally, whom should media be serving? The citizens. So this is your institutional lens. This is your societal lens. What the society wants, what the society wants to see, what the society wants to hear, that is what gets portrayed there. Clear, people? Give a few examples of it and you may wind up your answer, because again, it's only for 10 marks. That is the thing here. For this particular question, the other challenge will be to confine it within 2 pages. Because you can get carried away. It can even come as an essay question also. You can get easily carried away. So it is important that you restrict yourself to the 2 discussions: societal lens, institutional lens. Institutional lens, when we say, it has objectivity. Societal lens, when we say, it does not have that. But institutional lens, when we say, what happens is, again, the drawback of this is, it is too centralized. That is, only a few people who have the degree in journalism, who are good in writing, who are good in reporting, only those people will get job in an institutionalized sense. But when we talk about societal lens, what is the advantage there? The advantage is citizen journalism. Today, everybody with a camera and a microphone is a journalist. Anybody and everybody with a camera and a microphone. That is literally you and I. We are all journalists today. So the advantage with societal lens is that it has completely become decentralized. There is no centralization anymore. It is decentralized journalism. More often than not, news gets reported in social media before it is picked up by the mainstream media. All right, people. Taking it further forward, McGregor's theory X and theory Y provide insights into human motivation and workplace differently. Examine in detail. We have discussed this multiple times. So theory X is about what? Lazy, very lazy people, don't like work, don't like work. They don't like responsibility. They are always lazy. All right. So such kind of people they are. No motivation, no interest to work, not driven, no passion, no ambition. That is theory X. Why will people have it? Where will you find people having it? I already gave you the example. This you'll generally find in government sector, number one, where in the group C, group D level jobs. That is, you can talk about your assistant sub-inspector, not sub-inspector, 1 minute, ASI, head constable, constable. These levels you will find it because they hardly get any promotion. They are doing the same work for years together. It is routine work for them. Provide protection, go and do bandobast, go and do inquest for the dead body, go to the mortuary, go to the forensic laboratory, go to go and arrest the criminal, chase the criminal, all of this. It is the same job, no changes, nothing. So they start exhibiting theory X behavior. That is, they don't have any motivation. Then why are they in the job? They are only in the job for the money. Money is the only motivating factor because they will not get money anywhere else. That is the reason why they are there. Then theory Y. Theory Y is the exact opposite of this. These are people who are always 24/7. They love their job. They are ready to take any responsibility. They have ambition. And they are very driven, etc. So such type of people where you will find? You will find them in ISRO. You will find them in army. You will find them in higher levels of the bureaucracy. Especially IAS, IPS officers, IRS officers, etc. You will find them there. They are driven towards serving the nation. They are there not for money. They are there for things beyond money, like self-actualization, esteem needs. I want to do something great, growth factors, all of that. Clear? So that is how beautifully into McGregor's theory, you are slowly squeezing in Maslow's theory as well as Herzberg's theory. Understand one thing, there is no hard and fast rule telling that if the question is only about McGregor, you cannot mention other thinkers. You can mention. You can mention it to justify what your idea is. But again, focus should be McGregor. That focus we should not lose. One side mention of Maslow or Herzberg is absolutely fine. As long as we don't forget the main plot and the main character, that is McGregor. Clear, people? So taking it further forward, good governance adds normative and evaluative attributes to the process of governing. Comment 15 marks. Good governance adds normative and evaluative attributes to the process of governing. What are the normative attributes? So norms. So basically here, 3 things you need to put up. So this is like a 15-mark question. 3 things you need to put up here. That is, first of all, you need to tell what do you mean by good governance. Good governance definition you can give. Then you should say what are the normative values under good governance. What are the norms? What are the norms under good governance? What are the norms we are trying to achieve? So transparency is there, accountability is there, networked governance is there, because you're collaborating with multiple people, you're collaborating with NGOs, civil society organization, private sector, that you will put. Evaluative attributes. Evaluative attributes means you are evaluating each and every step of the government. Policy stage, implementation stage, the feedback on the implementation, performance review, all of that you're doing there just to see whether things are going smoothly or not. It is no more the top-down approach. You are also taking the feedback from there. Getting the point? So under these 3 things you will define first. Then good governance adds normative evaluative attributes to the process of governing. Give examples now. How it is ensuring bringing in normative values. So as part of good governance, what can we say? Again, examples what I told you. Pratham NGO ASER given to central government. Correct. That is one example of normative value, because they are transparent. Their reporting is very, very transparent. They submit their report, they give it to the central government. Evaluative attributes, whether things are working properly or not. So, for that, again, you can give any number of countless examples. That is, you can talk about how various schemes are running, or what is the status with regard to MGNR EGS payments. You can check out that, or you can check out to what extent physical files have been converted to digital files in central government offices under the e-office scheme. Getting the point? You're evaluating things. You're checking whether how good things are functioning or not. Getting the point? So you can give such examples. So like this, what happens is you gave the definition, you're giving the examples, and again, under this, which theory you can mention? You can definitely mention theories like NPS. You can talk about that. Clear, people? You can talk about why it is important for good governance. What else is important? You can even talk about just a minute. You can even talk about how good governance looks into the social, political, and economic factors and checks out what needs change, what needs improvement, what needs further changes, all of that. That also you can mention, and finally you can conclude your answer. Clear, people? Taking it forward. Regulatory authorities are independent and effective for controlling service delivery activities, but are subjected to extraneous factors. Do you agree? Give reasons. So, regulatory authority. So, first of all, you need to define what you mean by a regulatory authority. So, these are independent bodies like our RBI, SEBI, TRI. All right. So, few more examples you can give: Competition Commission of India, etc. And they are effective for controlling service delivery activities, but are subjected to extraneous factors. They are influenced by external factors. Do you agree? Give reasons. Yes and no. To an extent, they are affected. Like, for example, RBI can be easily affected by what? The inflation. RBI is also influenced by the Monetary Policy Committee. Correct. SEBI also gets easily affected by what? Any reports given by an international organization, or any private company submits a report, like the Hindenburg report. How SEBI had to give clarification after clarification, and how it affected SEBI's credibility also to a certain extent. TRI's credibility came into question again when the 2G spectrum scam, alleged scam, came out. So yes, they are easily affected. It is true, they are affected by extraneous factors, one way. But in another way, what happens is, because of this extraneous factors effect on these bodies, what happens is, two things happens there. One, it can lead to incremental change in the way the organizations function. That is, small changes are made with regard to the rules and functioning of the organization, which improves the things. Like, initially, government was not at all part of Monetary Policy Committee. I mean, only RBI had the sole prerogative on deciding the repo rate. But now with Monetary Policy Committee, government presence is also there. It was a small change in the way things were run. Number one. Or it can go for something like completely drastic, like root approach. And what is the root approach? You're changing totally, you're bringing in new laws. Like try initially while allocating spectrum licenses, they were not given on the basis of competitive bidding or open competitive bidding. It was generally allocated on the basis of first come, first serve. But now that has changed because after the LH2G spectrum scam came into picture, what happened? Whichever spectrum is being offered today by the telecom regulatory authority, they are all kept for auction. That is also the reason why we have ended up paying more money. You will mention that. So you mentioned what is regulatory body. You briefly described a few, and then you talked about what is the, does it have an impact? It does have an impact, and you also mentioned the advantage of it. Advantage is it can lead to incremental change. It can change the way things function. Disadvantage is what? Most of our regulatory bodies try to take only what is known as satisfying decisions. They only try to take those decisions which will suit the current context. Very few look into the future and plan ahead. This is really true during the 90s, the early 2000s, etc. There is very little planning. They will always take measures after some damage has happened. But these days, what is the trend is we can see, be it SEBI, be it RBI, they are taking measures so that in the future no troubles are there. Very recently, again, SEBI brought in a lot of change in the rules in the way they are functioning. Even with regard to RBI also, RBI, when they saw that there are a lot of loans increasing in a particular sector, they brought in changes in the rules there. How banks are exposing themselves to a particular loan section, they started changing the rules there. So those you will mention here. Getting the point here, as you can clearly see, I have included 1, 2, 3. 3 theories into this, which is the real challenge here, because writing about regulatory body or writing about RBI, SEBI, TRI, that is easy. If you have been preparing for the last 1 year, following the newspaper, anybody will be able to write that. But the real game is, how are you bringing in the theory here? That is the real challenge or the real skill that is required, which can be only developed if you keep practicing answer writing. For those of you who find it financially difficult to write answers, join any test series, etc., join the Telegram channel here. Start writing the PYQs of public administration from the previous years. Clear? Taking it further forward. Strengthening social audit through appropriate ways will promote inclusive government. Comment 20 marks. Direct question. I have given you the definition also in the class, and this here is where you require data, which I have again provided you as a separate value addition note with examples from Tamil Nadu, with examples from northeastern states, the southern states, everywhere I have sent it to you. We even saw the resistance that social auditing is facing in the very state where social audit took birth, that is Rajasthan. And we saw the problems that RTI activists are also facing in this regard. The entire gamut of data, whatever I have provided, that is what you are supposed to be putting it up over here. And then again, obviously, social auditing, when we talk about, this is new public service again, NPS. You are ready to hold yourself accountable for the services delivered to the public. That is the idea. Citizen, you're valuing the citizen. You're seeing the citizen as a citizen, not as a customer. That is the beauty. So, appropriate ways will promote inclusive government. Comment. So, how social auditing can be strengthened, etc. Again, given as data to you. That is what you need to put it up. Comment question, 20 marks in your pocket. Clear, people? Taking it further forward. The development of administrative law in welfare state has made administrative tribunals a necessity. Examine. This again, with data I have provided it in the class. What is administrative law? what it is based on. Administrative law is generally based on principles of natural justice. It is different from normal laws. Basically, they look into, no, don't look into the constitution or rather what the law says. They look into what? They look into the whole situation and then take a call. The purpose of this is to ensure that administrators who work for the government, they are able to do their job without fear or favor. That is the main point here. Now, it has made administrative tribunals a necessity. That is the question, and they have asked you to examine it. Yes, administrative tribunals are necessity. Why? Judiciary is already overburdened. So when you have separate administrative tribunals to deal with cases with regard to administration, it can improve the delivery of justice, improve the speed, reduce the delay, improve transparency, all that you will put up. But what is the issue here? Administrative tribunals are also guilty of delay, not appointing people on time. That is, they have very limited staff. And as a result of this, and again, the whole appeal mechanism, that is, whatever verdict comes out of administrative tribunal, you can still go and challenge it in the higher courts. Then what is the purpose of this? Why do we need a tribunal then? If the tribunal is the final verdict, it makes sense. But that is not the case. You go to the tribunal, from tribunal again you go to the high court, the Supreme Court. Means then what is the whole point of keeping a tribunal? It defeats the purpose. Because you are again taking it back to the whole scenario. That is, again, you are taking it back to square one, where you go for the appeal system, you go behind the judiciary, which is already overburdened. Then whatever data I have provided to you in the class with regard to the performance of administrative tribunal, how many cases are pending, what are the issues, you will write that. And then you will say that if administrative tribunals, you will conclude by saying that if administrative tribunals need to be effective, the first and foremost thing is the delay should be stopped. The justice delivery should be made fast. And whatever committee recommendations, etc. are there, that also we will put up over there. Taking it up online, filling in the vacancies. Those are the only ways by which you can reduce the pending cases and ensure what? Administrative law is properly developed in the state. Clear, people? That is the way to put it up. Ineffectiveness of legislative control over administration can stem from various factors. Hence, in ensuring effectiveness, a comprehensive approach is the need of the hour. Discuss. So, question is about legislative control over administration. Legislative control, when we say how Parliament controls all India service officers and central government employees, how state legislative assembly controls the state service officers as well as the panchayat or urban body officers. That is what it means in a nutshell. Legislative control. Parliament will be controlling them, state legislative assembly will be controlling them. Directly, is there any control? Directly, there is no control, to be very honest. There is no direct control. Indirectly, Parliament can control the working of the administration by asking questions. We have question hour, adjournment motion, 0 hour, etc. Through those methods, they can do it. What is the advantage? The advantage is politics, administration stays separate. Politics, administration stays separate. Administrators can carry out their job better. What is the disadvantage? Administrators can end up becoming bosses. Because they are technically trained, they are well informed, they can take over their government or their executive. Take over in the sense that is, they will be deciding the policies, they will be influencing things. Getting the picture? So that way it will create trouble. So, hence in ensuring effectiveness, a comprehensive approach is the need of the hour. Comprehensive approach. So comprehensive approach means what? Again, comprehensive approach means what we have seen under NPS or under good governance. Administrator today has to value constitution, has to value the community, has to value the society, has to value the rules, the laws, the media, everything. Administrators today, that is, it is not just to ensure legislative control or executive control or societal control, it is everything. Everything put together it should be. Only then administrators can be controlled effectively, because from the side of the media, from the side of the public, what is the opinion, everything matters today. So from all the angles, checks and balances have to be placed on the administrator to ensure effectiveness in service delivery. That you will mention. Clear, people? Taking it further forward, ERG theory of motivation attempts to reconceptualize the theory of hierarchy of needs. ERG theory of motivation, it is basically, it involves so the ERG theory of motivation attempts to reconceptualize, okay, one second. ERG theory of motivation attempts to reconceptualize the theory of hierarchy of needs. So, ERG theory, it is basically existence, relatedness, growth. All right. So, existence, when we say what is necessary for your existence, you need safety needs, you need to be like good well-being, and you should have safety and security. All right. So existence means whatever you need for your existence, that is safety, one minute. So let us start from the beginning. Physical needs, safety needs, and overall well-being. Then relatedness, when we talk about, it talks about what? Interpersonal relationship, how you interact with others, etc. And finally, when we talk about growth needs, it is basically about what? It is about achievement, accomplishment, personality development, all of that. So as you can clearly see, it attempts to reconceptualize the theory of hierarchy of needs, because ERG, existence, this is existence and relatedness put together. This is basically what? Basic needs, safety needs, social needs. E and R means these three. Growth obviously talks about what? Self-actualization and self-esteem. What are the similarities? What are the dissimilarities? That is what you are supposed to be writing. I know it is a new topic. It is a new question. Rarely it has come in UPSC. All right. So what right now I'm planning to do is make a list of such topics, and either I will give it to you as notes through the Telegram channel, or we will make a video series and put it in YouTube, so that everybody can access it and everybody can learn it. Because the problem with these topics are that you are not going to find it in any single book. It is scattered. Some are there in IGNOU, some are there in certain foreign textbooks. So if you go for such topics which has come very rarely, and you don't do the lion's share of preparation, that is your NPA, NPM, NPS, thinkers, PubAd, evolution, good governance, etc., you are in for trouble. That is the mistake what most aspirants make. Even with your prelims, even with your mains, understand that what is the rare question which has come from some random textbook. Don't worry about that. You cannot literally study everything and have an awareness about everything to write UPSC. It is impossible. What you should target and do is what is repeatedly asked. Ensure that you are very thorough with it. Prelims or mains. Clear, people? Taking it further forward. Scientific management and human relations theory are two distinct approaches for improving efficiency and production. Explain. Explain question. So you need to only tell what is the impact of scientific management theory, who mention briefly who were the proponents of it, what is the advantage, one best method, scientific selection and training, assigning the proper work study, time study, efficiency, economy. Human relations theory, it is all about building human relations, building trust, sharing your aspirations, opening up, ensuring that the informal relationship is tightened. There is rest period. Emphasis is more than doing the work. Emphasis on ensuring that there is rest period in the morning and in the evening. That you will mention. How both are important today. Every organization has elements of, is a mixture of both today. That you will write, give relevant examples, answer is over. This question again, if you actually, those of you who are writing PYQs should be knowing, this is actually a slightly modified version of scientific management and human relations theory can be complementary to each other. There was a question which had come earlier. That question has been asked in a different variant. That's it. Clear, people? Taking it further forward. New public governance, an emerging paradigm, is contrasted with market-based approach of new public management. Comment. Clear, people? Moving on to the next question. New public governance and an emerging paradigm is contrasted with market-based approach of new public management. Comment 15 marks. So we would have heard of NPA. Correct. Which talked about giving government the dominant position, all of that. It started out like that. Bureaucrats should be proactive, change-oriented, radical, client-oriented, all that we saw. Then NPA toned down. From MB1 it toned down and it became let us be more realistic. By MB3 they understood that let us indulge in comparative public administration, which was in 2008. That is how NPA's evolution is. But overall NPA talks about let us give more control to government. That is the bottom line. Be it private sector or be it technology, NPA was not much in favor of it. When we talk about NPM, it talks about what? Generally, it talks about privatization, private players, etc. So NPS, when we see, is basically what? You can say it is actually a combination of NPA plus NPM. Because bureaucrats have to be like entrepreneurs also. Bureaucrats will have to collaborate with private players, NGOs, everything. That same NPS you take, add good governance to it, and you have new public governance. It is one and the same only, because like I already told you, good governance is a development or an offshoot of NPS. That is, NPS means we are trying to collaborate with NGO, we are delivering things. Good governance, what we are trying to do is, after we have delivered, we are asking them, was it fine? Was it okay? Are you happy with it? You are checking on them. You are doing a follow-up. So new public governance today is also the same thing. Getting the picture here, that is after you have traveled in a train, they generally ask, today, how was the cleanliness? They come with a slip of paper and they ask you. Getting the point? So these days the point, that is even electricity board also, if you see, you complain, they'll call back and they will ask, was your complaint rectified? Are you satisfied with the redressal mechanism what we have? They are asking that. So they are ensuring that the citizen is served. Getting the point? In NPS also citizen is there. But here the citizen is slightly inactive. Citizen will just stand there with his hands in like, okay, you're giving me this. I'm entitled to this. Okay, give it. Fine, I'm okay. Under NPG, your citizen is not a passive recipient. He is an active player. Citizen under NPG is an active player. He is aware of his rights. He is aware of his whatever has to come to him. So he is very aware. So ensuring that the aware citizen gets what they want. That is NPG for you. It is contrasted with market-based approach of NPM. So again, comment means why NPG is better than NPM. COVID-19 you take, best example. We couldn't have left everything to the private player, be it the vaccination, be it the government servants, whatever we were having over here, the IAS, IPS officers, the entire government machinery. If it weren't for them, COVID-19 would have easily wiped out more than 10 crore of our population. Easily. Then, why do you need NPM in today's zamana? You need it because of cases like Air India. You need it because of our loss-making PSUs where we are having the memorandum of understanding culture. So you are bringing paper to directly into this question here. Answer is completed. Contrasted means you are pitting against each other. Contrast matlab hai you are basically comparing two things. So you said why you need NPG, why you need NPM. Bottom line is what? You need both. You need the efficiency and economy of the business sector. You need to see the effectiveness and the feedback mechanism of the service sector or the good governance sector. You need both. Only then you can ensure that goods and services are getting delivered properly to the citizens. Getting the picture. So what should be used then? Should it be NPG or NPM? Depends upon the situation, depends upon the ecological factors, depends upon the administrative factors, political factors, social factors, everything. Based on that only you can take a call. Clear, people? Taking it further forward. The anti-development thesis is a critical perspective on the traditional development models. Comment 10 marks. Direct question. Why it is a critical perspective on the traditional development model? Anti-development is not against development. It is against the Western model of development. Because anti-development thesis basically tells whatever is happening in the West, don't try to blindly put it over here. And Western model of traditional public administration is guilty of giving what? Universal principles or one best method. Anti-development thesis says this doesn't work. You cannot blindly take whatever is there in the West and implement it in the developing nations or the less developed countries of Sub-Saharan Africa or Asia. First half. Second half, what you will say? Anti-development thesis was against direct blind imposition of Western models in developing or less developed nations. Outrightly, it has not said, it was not against, or it didn't offer a criticism, direct criticism of traditional public administration. They were basically, their focus area was what? See, just because it worked in Europe or just because it worked in USA, don't expect it to work in India. Don't expect it to work in Africa. That was their focus. So before implementing anything, you need to factor in what? The historical factors, social factors, economic factors of that particular region. And anti-development thesis laid the foundation for good governance because anti-development thesis focused on the ecology, social, economic, political factors. Good governance started focusing on this. And blind imposition of Western ideas, Western policies took a backseat. Answer is over. Clear, people? Civil servants should be allowed only to cast vote or participate in the electoral process of the country. Examine. That is, either take part for election or cast vote. Keep them completely away from politics. That is the statement here. Point is it possible? Examine the statement. So only cast vote or take part in politics. In between what? In between they are not supposed to be politically involved here. Again, you can mention about a few IAS officers or IPS officers who were involved in corruption with the blessings of the state government. You can give few examples here, which clearly shows that IAS or civil servants basically should be kept out of politics. There should be a clear segregation. Unfortunately, why it doesn't happen? It doesn't happen largely because of power mongering, rent seeking behavior, Peter principle, all that you can give here. Because of this, it becomes very, very difficult. Then what can we do to ensure that even if civil servants are part of policy making or are supportive and giving supportive ideas for a government, how can we ensure civil service neutrality? Number one, annual property returns, which I have already told you in your class. That is, every civil servant has to, at the end of every year, has to give an annual property return. That is, whatever property I have bought or any property in my name, I have to give the list of it and give it to the concerned department, the vigilance department. I will have to give. That is first thing. Second thing is what? Performance appraisal. Whatever performance a civil servant is doing, it has to be appraised, and that information should be available in the public domain. Which civil servant is performing well, non-performing, all of that. So these 2 points. Number 3, mid-career review. That also should be there. Number 4, central deputation. Number 5, transfers. So through these things, basically, you can ensure civil service neutrality and you can tone down or reduce bureaucrat-politician nexus. So when that reduces, automatically what happens? Even if civil servants are part of policy making also, you can ensure neutrality from the side of civil servants. As you can clearly see, I told you give IAS, IPS officers who have been into corruption. Like you know about the Jharkhand case and all. So you can mention that. You can clearly see I didn't mention about Mr. Pandian IAS or the case of Bengal ex-chief secretary. That I have not mentioned here. Why? I have already given that example in my earlier answer. One of the other mistake what most students make is they repeat the examples in every answer. So when you repeat the same example, even in more than one answer when you mention it, or even when you mention the same thinker again and again and again in different contexts, in different questions, what are you telling to the person who is correcting your paper? You're basically telling, I only know this thinker, I only know this example. I'm only going to use these two. It clearly shows a lack of competence from your end in exploring the subject or exploring examples or thinkers which can be put up beautifully in the paper. So the one who does that will score amazingly high marks. The one who doesn't do it will get slow score. And finally, the blame is always on public administration is a difficult paper. It is not the paper, people. It is always how you put up the answer. Because many a times what happens is people don't have examples. They are like, okay, what will I write here? What will I write here? Clear, people? Taking it further forward. Critical path method is a project management technique used to plan and manage project effectively. Discuss direct question. Very direct question. Notes I have given in the class. Just follow that. What is CPM? How it is done, carried out. What are its drawbacks? Is it being used today? What is its updated version that we are having today? Mention it, because ultimately, it's, as you can see, it's only for 10 marks. Clear? Further forward, auditing is not about finding faults. It is about ensuring the accuracy and integrity of financial information analyzed. So auditing is not about finding faults. It is about ensuring accuracy and integrity of financial information. 10 marks only. So you will say what is auditing. Correct? So auditing here means there is financial auditing also, social audit also. But here they are basically talking about financial information. So let us focus on finance only, because social auditing already another question has been asked. Number 1. Number 2, it's only for 10 marks. So how much more will you write? So auditing is basically done as a matter of checks and balance to ensure transparency, to ensure effectiveness in the delivery of public service. That is the purpose there. All right. Then what else? So auditing is like a feedback mechanism. Auditing is like putting a check, constant check on what is happening, whether everything is proper or not. So it is not about finding fault, that some fault is there. No, it is about the accuracy. So very recent example, if I were to say, I already told you, 75,000 rupees was the money quoted by the government of Kerala to bury one dead body in the Wayanad disaster. Imagine, to bury one single dead body, 75,000 rupees is the money, is the value quoted by the government of Kerala. Even if somebody says it is 7,500 to bury some person, that is again a huge amount. Very, very huge amount. You would have never heard of it anywhere, probably. Even I was very surprised when I heard it for the first time. Central government was not ready to accept this number. So central government, if they have to release funds, they have made it very clear, we need every data. Don't just simply give us the numbers. Audit it by your state agencies, get the stamp and seal, then send the numbers to us. Only then, if you follow all the pre-required conditions, then we will release the money. So it is not just about finding fault here, it is about following a set standard procedure. Only then center also can release the funds. Getting the picture here? So always this is the case. You don't follow things according to the laid down procedure. What happens is it creates opaqueness. Then there is a lot of confusion. Why this amount? Why that amount? So that is where auditing comes into play. Then again, you can give a few examples of auditing, methods, measures, etc. Give a few examples and you can wind up your answer. Clear? I know it is an analyzed question, and sometimes I have told you that analyzed question means you have to support and oppose it. But again, that also depends on the nature of the sentence given. Auditing is not about finding faults. It is about ensuring accuracy and integrity of financial information. It is true. So you will give 2 examples. 2-3 examples you will give. Clear? Like currently there are 2 cases. One is center not releasing funds with regard to the Wayanad disaster. Center not releasing funds to Tamil Nadu under the new education policy. What is the reason for it? Why the funds are not being released? What is the reason for it? That you will mention, that you can mention there as example. You can mention any example that is left to you. But these are what is there as latest. Getting the point? Taking it further forward. The study of public administration must include its ecology. Discuss 10 marks. Comparative public administration. Cultural filtering. Lens. As mentioned by Woodrow Wilson. All of that you can mention and you can write it down. So I have already given you the example of US Social Security number. Today we have it here in India as Aadhaar. But what we did, we improvised on US Social Security number. How? We included biometrics into it. We came out with UPI. Now other countries want to take it up. So India is collaborating with other countries to see, okay, for their ecology, for their financial system, how we can make QR code payment a reality. We are helping them. So it is both the ways. Getting the point here? It is both the ways. You look into the ecology and then you implement it. A trend to adopt innovative practices in administrative ethics is gaining ground for improving public trust in government. Discuss 20 marks. Innovative practices in administrative ethics. So, what are obviously administrative ethics you will mention? Traditionally, how this was ensured that people are ethical. Traditionally, earlier means you only have what? Maybe Prevention of Corruption Act that is available. All right. But in every other aspect, service delivery or even with regard to words uttered, nothing was, you were not able to put proper checks and balances on an ethical basis when it comes to day-to-day functioning. Today, Innovative methods includes social media. First thing, like I have given you the example of the IAS officer who was transferred immediately for using the word औकात. तुम लोगों का औकात क्या है? To the truck drivers who were protesting against the new rules and laws. That is the first example. Social media is available today, which literally places a check on the conduct of civil servants in public life. Number 2, you have Rule 56J. Rule wise, this is an old rule. But today, this is being used rampantly by the central government. I already told you the example of how central government has already sent home more than 700 central officers, which includes IAS, IPS officers also. Like a senior home secretary also was sent home under Rule 56J on allegations of sexual misconduct. That you will mention. APR also you will mention. Annual property returns. You have RTI. Then portals of department. Portals of each department means there you will publish all the information. That way you will get to know how people are functioning. So you then obviously most important thing, biometric attendance. Because punctuality also is a part of, or rather punctuality is the first and foremost condition necessary for a government servant. And very recently central government came out with the order that almost all the government servants should be available in the office by 9:15 to 9:30 a.m. All that you will mention. So trend to adopt innovative practices. Those are the trends. Getting the point? Is gaining ground for improving public trust in government. Plus service delivery deadlines. 8. E-office again. So service delivery deadlines means within how many days you will get your response back. Number 1. With e-office, what is the advantages? If I sent you a file today, it will clearly tell at what time you received it, when did I send it to you, all that will be available. That means if you are, and if you don't take any action on that file that I have sent you electronically, that is, it is almost like sending an email. So I've sent the file to you, I did my job, I send it to you, you have not taken any action for last 15 to 20 days means I can take action on you. It is as simple as that. Clear, people? Taking it further forward, the future of e-governance is shaped by emerging trends of making government services efficient and accessible. Analyze. Again, examples. Plethora of examples. Clear. That is very recently again. I think yesterday's or day before yesterday's news. Government decided to club all the schemes into 2 schemes. You can access it directly. Then Prime Minister also under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, a new portal has been opened so that jobs can be, internships can be made possible. Getting the point here. One nation, one ration card, Ayushman Bharat, all those examples you can talk about. They are all e-governance. They are all examples of e-governance. Electronically, you are getting access to things. You don't have to physically visit the office. Because true meaning of e-governance is when public government official interface is reduced. That is, I don't have to go see a government official. I can get my work done by sitting at home means automatically that is what you call e-governance. At the click of a mouse button where everything is transparent and clear and clean. So what happens there? When I don't have to visit the government official, automatically corruption comes down, bribery comes down, illegal activities comes down, which is exactly the purpose behind e-governance. And once e-governance is there, what is the other very big advantage? Data will be available in the public domain. RTI will not be needed. RTI will literally become obsolete. In the sense that because all the information is electronically, digitally tracked, recorded, nobody can delete it. No single person can delete the entire record or entire electronic data. Getting the point? So it ensures complete transparency. Anybody can check it at any point of time. Clear, people? Undoubtedly, social and historical factors play a significant role in shaping administrative system, but side-by-side understanding of these influences is essential for designing responsive governance structure. Examine. Repeated question this is. How social and historical factors has affected the governance system, and how because of the social political factors the governance system is the way it is. It is again from comparative public administration, which we have discussed this question in the class also, where I told you your brief knowledge about the history of certain Asian countries, African countries, Western countries, European countries will help you here, and how the governance system has evolved there. Those examples you can mention. Getting the point? And recent example which we discussed yesterday in class also, where I told you that is a Canadian, that is an Indian origin female sitting in Canada. She was complaining. See, in Amazon is not having a return policy here in Canada. They have a return policy, but the thing is, no delivery boy will come pick it up and go. So she mentioned that India is great, India has better service, all that she mentioned there. But what was the internet's reaction? Internet basically told that you are still following an exploitative culture, because that is what is happening here. We have huge amount of unemployment. People are ready to, people badly want jobs, so they are ready to work at the most lowest wages. In Canada, on the contrary, people are highly educated. There are jobs available for the local population. They don't have to actually go for such small jobs, because they get better jobs there, which gives better payment. So as a result of this, in Canada, what is the culture? You need to do anything, you have to do it by yourself. Nobody is going to come and do it for you. That is the culture there. Whereas in India, it is the exact opposite. And here again, the caste mindset is somewhere entrenched inside our head. That is why when delivery boys come, most of the time people will treat them, I am paying you, you are under my employment. They have that attitude. We carry that caste legacy inside every one of us. It is still there in our DNA. Don't write all of that, but that is the point here. That is the service delivery, what happens here in India, it is a reminiscent of the caste system, where between the platform workers, the relationship between the platform workers and the customers is one of lower caste and upper caste. At least that is the mentality. But you cannot expect that were in Canada or in USA or in Europe. There, if you try to do it, easily they can even put a case on you and you will have to pay a fine. Getting the point here? So this is the idea. Mention it, give a few examples, talk about comparative public administration, importance of ecological studies. Clear, people? Riggs' prismatic model has been criticized as overly gloomy and technical complex, but it remains as a useful starting point for comparative public administration research analysis. Beautiful, direct question. Prismatic model, we already know. So white light going, entering a prism, and then So you can easily compare administrative systems on the basis of this to find out to what extent the society is fused, what extent the society is prismatic, what extent the society is diffracted. And again, within that diffraction, again, you can find out to what extent they are fully diffracted and fully integrated. You can compare all of this. Getting the point here? That way, you can write your answer, give proper examples. Clear, people? Performance management and performance appraisal. Performance management and performance appraisal are two distinct activities in public personnel administration. Discuss. So, managing the performance and giving appraisal for the performance. That is what it means. Very static topics. Managing the performance means you are motivating them, you are motivating your employees, you are trying to push them up. That is performance management. Performance appraisal means giving proper feedback. What needs to be improved? Don't target personally, giving it objectively. Two distinct activities these are, because one talks about the responsibility of the manager, the other talks about the responsibility of the worker. Discuss. Mention that discussion there. So performance management puts the onus or responsibility on the executive or the manager to ensure that the workers are doing well. So basically, in addition to the classical theory of ensuring efficiency in economy, the manager should also focus on team building activities and building an informal relationship within the team so that team is united and they deliver the deliverables in an effective manner. Performance appraisal means individually, the individual has to ensure that the performance is above average standard. Why? In today's scenario, if your performance is not at the top level, or if it is not even above average, you risk the chance of getting laid off, getting fired. Getting the point here? So both has to be managed. Clear, people? Balancing state intervention and market freedom is the need of developing countries. Comment. Balancing state intervention. That means it is once again the same question what we saw earlier. State versus market. In developing countries, how will you balance it? The same examples what we wrote. Interestingly enough, we are discussing all the questions, but in UPSC, you have a choice to pick up the most familiar questions which you know. So again, if you see, this is nothing but a revisit of your NPM versus NPS or NPG. Getting the point here? It is the same question again. That is the reason why I am telling you that those topics are the most important ones. The comparative public administration also within the same question paper, you would have seen how it is evolving and coming. One place they have asked about ecology, one place they directly asked about CPA. So you cannot afford to skip these topics. That is my point here. Clear? Taking it further forward. Bureaucracy in developing countries faces several challenges, and tackling of these will make them more responsive, adaptive, and aligned with development needs. Discuss. Again, drawbacks of bureaucracy, starting with our very famous example of how planning commission ended up spending more than 35 lakhs for just 2 toilets. So it is all about the example game. Criticisms and all, you can write it very easily. It is very easy. But the example game is where the entire evaluation lies. So giving the right example matters here, people. Clear? Again, a very direct question. Modern economists think public debt is an essential means of increasing employment, an element of economic policy, but it also shifts the burden to future generation. Why? The whole point of this is, if a government starts spending more, its expenditure is going on increasing, capital as well as revenue. So expenditure is increasing. So expenditure, if it has to increase, what is required? You need funds for it. Funds has to come from where? Either from taxation or from borrowing. So either you tax now more and spend more, or you borrow now, and to pay this borrowing in future you will increase the tax. This is what generally happens. Generally, that is best example is the oil marketing bonds. Getting the point? Oil marketing bonds which were issued during the time of the UPA government, when most of you were still in your bicycles. UPA introduced oil marketing bonds. NDA government came in and they told, because now the oil marketing bonds are about to get matured, we are increasing the tax because we need to pay for the oil marketing bonds. So imagine you were traveling in a cycle when government actually issued the bonds. You were not even using petrol. You were not using it. By the time you became an adult, now what is the scene? Now you have to pay for the petrol increased price. Why? Because of the borrowing made by the UPA government earlier. Getting the picture here? So, but it also shifts the burden to future generation. So that you can mention here. That case study you can give here. It is true. But at the same time, other scenario is also true, which is what? You borrow today so as to improve development. So you, for infrastructure, social infrastructure like health, education, all that you can mention here. Clear, people? Pure and pure economic question, like as you can see, it's from the 12th chapter, financial policy. So it's basically nothing but almost 30% of our economic syllabus it is. All right. Unless there is a sound mechanism for policy evaluation, policy formulation remains redundant. Examine. You can give the example of 3 farm bills. Give the example of demonetization. That was again a policy decision. Government understood what were the drawbacks of it. So what they ensured that UPI payments are going smoothly. They ensured UPI payments to increase in terms of percentage. Once they saw it has crossed like 60-70%, what did they do? They removed 2,000 rupees also out of circulation. But unlike 500 and 1,000 rupees, when that was removed from circulation, 2,000 rupees did not disrupt the economy in any way. Because by then people had got very used, or their social behavior has been conditioned to use QR payments. 3 farm bills quickly passed, like demonetization or replacing Niti Aayog with Planning Commission. It was also done very fast. But the backlash was so severe that after 1 year, government had to take a complete U-turn in it. So policy evaluation matters. For policy evaluation, either you can do it after years together, or you can constantly keep monitoring it, like the incremental model of Charles Lindblom. Getting the picture? Or you can do it at the end of a budget year. So it depends from scheme to scheme, program to program. All right. That is the way to do it, people. As you can clearly see, there are no jhatka or crazy type of questions this time. It was very, very direct. If people would have only stuck to the most important topics, whatever I have been insisting in class, whatever we have been discussing, whatever we have been reviewing and evaluating, easily they will score more than 300. All right. So that is the point here. Follow the faculty's instructions. I mean, whichever faculty subject you are following, follow their instructions diligently. All right. That is the point to stress here. Apart from that, the next topic obviously will be paper 2's discussion, which will be coming up very soon. God bless. Take care, people. And any further queries, whatever you have, once again, this is the Telegram channel. Anything, any doubt with regard to public administration, you can reach out to me here. Otherwise, what do you think of the question paper? What is your opinion? Put it up in the comment section. All right. What question did you find was a little difficult? Or what topic did you find was a little bizarre or difficult in collecting the notes? Put it up. Share your thoughts here as well as in the comment section. Take care, people.